Hello everybody, what's cracking? This is me, Mohammed Liban, Mo.booktalker here, back with another video. So guys, basically in this video, I just want to talk about my 5 genres that I don't like reading. As you know, I love books, I love mystery books, I love thriller books, but these are the genres, part of me that I don't really enjoy reading, okay? And this is just the disclaimer, this is just based on my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Okay, these are just my top 5 that I'll probably never read. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the number one. The number one genre that I don't like is romance. Okay, and here's why. Romance, for me, the genre romance, in my opinion, I find a little bit boring. And the reason why I find it a little bit boring is that I feel like when you read the chapters and the storyline, it feels like the same repetitive story plot with romance. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure there's other romance books that are great that are out there in the market, but majority of the romance books, the romance fiction genre is a little bit boring to me. So that's number one. That's why I don't like romance. Okay. Number two on our list is science fiction. Okay. Growing up, we all like science as a subject, but with science fiction books, to me, there's just the kid. They're whenever you're reading a science fiction, I feel like, and I've tried it before. There's really too many characters, and it doesn't really coordinate well. So that's why I avoid reading science fiction, and it's not my favorite genre to read for science fiction. So that's the number one reason why I don't like science fiction. Number three on my list. Number three on my list is fantasy. Okay. I believe there's a lot of fantasy books that are great in the market, but there's a lot that are, in my opinion, very boring, very repetitive story with the fantasy. Usually with a fantasy story, it pretty much goes like, a bunch of dragons and creatures and all this stuff, and I'm not a big fan of those characters. For those people that like the genre fantasy, that's great. But for me, I'm not a big fantasy guy. So fantasy is number three on my list. Okay, so number four. Number four on my list is action and adventure books. Okay. Growing up, I used to read like a few good action books and adventure, but my times have changed a lot. I'm not a big fan anymore of reading action and adventure books. I think they have a genre for children in particular. If you're an adult reading that genre, that's great. But for me, the reason why I don't read is because I'm already past it at this stage in my age bracket. So I'm 30 now, so I don't really bother reading action adventure books anymore. But yeah, I don't really read those books. So that would be number four. And lastly, number five on my list in particular is number five would be on my list is nonfiction. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm currently reading a good nonfiction book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. You guys should check it out. It's a very great book. But, nonfiction, there's a lot of nonfiction self-help books. They're pretty not great. I feel like the especially with the nonfiction, I'm specifically talking about the self-help books. I feel like they're a little bit overrated. I feel like a lot of the books carry the same information. There's, in my opinion, that a few are great, and there's some that are just mediocre. So I try to avoid reading as much as these self-help books as possible, unless if you're really into self-help books and you use it for a purpose, that's great. But for me, I'm not a big of the nonfiction self-help book genre. I just feel like it's too overrated. It's too much. Uh, the information in these books with the self-help books is the same information that's already, that like it's kind of like repetition after repetition. So that's why I avoid staying away from self-help books. Okay, so that would be number 5. All right, everybody, that is my top 5 books that I don't that these are my top 5 genres that I don't enjoy reading, and I don't read them at all. And thank you for watching. Happy reading.